Okay, good morning. My name is David Villegas Rios. I'm doing my PhD here in Vigo at the Institute of Marine Research. And I'm going to talk about the reproductive traits and the growth of the ballan wrasse, Labrus bergylta, here in Galician waters. So I want to start talking about just a quick slide about artisanal fishing in Galicia, because this is the fleet that is mainly fishing my species. So artisanal fishing in Galicia is a very complex activity which involves more than 6,000 small boats, and it's a very multi-specific activity. They fish not only fish but also shellfish and a lot of different species, and they use very different kind of gears like nets, traps, and hook lines. But by contrast, there is a very weak scientific knowledge about the species that they are targeting, and also about the habitats that they are using to fish. And sometimes there is a great conflict because those habitats are being shared with another human activities like marinas, construction, and landfills or whatever. So the plot on your right, represents the landings of the last 13 years, I guess, for Labrus bergylta in Galicia and also in Vigo. I have to say that it is one of the 3 most harvested species here in Galicia, and there is not a great seasonality in the landings, which are around 200 tons in Galicia and around 45 here in Vigo. So Labrus bergylta, it's a wrasse. It's a member in family Labridae, which has another 13 species here in Galicia. It's well distributed all along the northeast Atlantic, from Norway to Morocco, and also in the Mediterranean. And it inhabits rocky reefs from 0 to down more than 60 meters. It's an omnivorous species which feeds on almost everything, small invertebrates, but also small fish and algae. And it shows very different patterns of coloration, as you can see at the bottom of the slide. So it's a protogenic hermaphrodite. They are all females where they are born. And it's a harem-forming species, at least during the spawning season. And the females lay the eggs just over the rocks. They don't build any kind of nest. And there are the males who protect them. So the only study about the spawning season is from Norway, and it spawns from April to June there. And there is very little information about the growth. There are a few old studies, and they are based on opercular bones and scales, nothing from otoliths. And they report in those studies a maximum age for females of 25 years and 29 for males. So I want to stop a bit with coloration, because we have identified more than 10 or 12 different colorations for the species here in Galicia. But we classify them in 2 main patterns. On your left is the non-model pattern of the plain coloration. That's what we call maragota here. And on the right is the model coloration with small white dots. That's what we call pinto. Many people think that they are different species. The fisherman has this feeling, and they are sold separately. And they have different prices, as you can see, €3 per kilo for the plain coloration, and almost twice for the model coloration, and they say that they even taste different. So for this study, the sampling, we got the fish from the fish markets here in Ria de Vigo. We sampled more than 800 individuals from November 2009 to October 2010, and most of them were females, but we had a good number of males and transitions too. And most of them were of the plain coloration, of the non-model coloration, what we call maragota, but we had almost 250 pintos. And all of the fish came from the artisanal fishing, and they were all fished with gill nets. So for the sampling, for each individual, we wrote down the biometry features and the coloration, and then we took all the tissues that we need in accordance with our objectives. So for reproduction, we took the gonads, and we fixed them in formalin. For bioenergetics study, we took also the gonads, but also the liver and the muscle, that they are frozen at -80 degrees. We are also keeping the stomachs for diet studies at -20 degrees. And for growth, we are extracting the otoliths. So with the gonads are embedded in paraffin, and they are staying with hematoxylin zinc and cut by 3 micrometers at the microtome. And at the microscope, identify all the development states for the oocytes, so according to these figures here. So primary growth, cortical alveoli, vitellogenesis 1, 2, and 3, migratory nucleus, hydratation, and I also identify another structures like POFs and atresias. And according to these states of development for the oocytes, I was able to classify each fish into one of those maturity states for the fish. So fish were immature or mature, and within mature, developing, spawning capable, regressing or regenerating, according to Brown-Peterson. So for growth, we extracted the Sagitta otoliths. They were extracted and washed immediately with fresh water, and we read the whole otolith, which was submerged in mineral oil, under reflected light with the binoculars. So this is the first result I want to show you. This is the reproductive cycle here in Galicia. So the dark, the brown, quite brown bars are the spawning capable fish. The orange are the developing fish. So the light green is regenerating and the dark green is regressing. The red line is the GSI and the blue line is the condition index. So spawning season here in Galicia for this species starts in January and goes until April, with a clear peak in February, March. What is the same pattern that we can see for the GSI and the opposite pattern for the condition index. So we estimated the L50 with maturity ogive, and we got a result of 23.4 centimeters. But then we wanted to know if there was any difference according to the coloration of the fish. So we included the coloration in the model, and we got significantly different results. So these are the results. These are the curves for both colorations. For the plain coloration, it's still 23.3, but for the model coloration, it's a bit more. It's almost 25 centimeters. We did the same with age, and we got the A50, which is 2.7 years for the species. And we included again the coloration in the model, but we didn't have any different result in this case. So for the sex change, we did the same. We estimated the sex change of ogive, which was almost 44 for all the individuals, both colorations. But again, we wanted to know if there was any difference between both colorations. So we included the coloration in the model, and what we got was a difference of more than 9 centimeters between both colorations. So the plain coloration changed sex at a smaller size than the model coloration. We did the same with age again, and we got the A50 for all individuals, which is around 10.7 years. But in this case, we have difference even for the age between both colorations. So for the plain coloration, it's almost 10.5 years, and for the model coloration, it's 11.5. So for the growth study, I fit a von Bertalanffy model, a classical von Bertalanffy model, to estimate the 3 parameters, which are on the bottom. And so this plot is all individuals and the curve, and here I represent the mean length per age for all the individuals. But I wanted to know if there was any difference in growth between both colorations that could explain the difference in size at maturity and size at sex change for both colorations. So I applied the show test, which was very significant. And these are the curves for both colorations. So the green line is the growth curve for the model coloration pattern, and the other one, the red one, is for the plain coloration. And as you can see, the red line is always above the green line is always above the red line, which means that for the same age, the model fish are smaller in size than the non-model fish. So this is, again, the mean length per year for both colorations, for both colorations. And the fit is quite better for the plain coloration because we have much more individuals and well distributed in the size classes. So for the model coloration, we have a lack of very small individuals and very big individuals, which are not often represented in the fishery. That's why we had some problems to get individuals. We also found a difference in the otolith size, depending on the coloration. So on the left, I represent the fish length against the otolith length, and here the red line is above the green line, and also on the right is the fish length against the otolith width. In both plots, the red line is above the green line, what means that for the same fish length, the otolith for the plain coloration pattern is bigger, what makes a lot of sense because they are older. So discussion, Labrus bergylta spawns in January, April in Galicia, 2 months earlier than in Norway, and in synchronization with the main upwelling event in the region, just before the first phytoplankton bloom that happens around May. So maturity is reached at 23.5 centimeters or 2.7 years. What I have to say, what is above is more than 3 centimeters above the minimum legal size of capture here, what is the only regulation, not only for this species, but for many others, for the artisanal fleet here. So sex change occurs at 43.9 centimeters, but there is a great range for this change. As you can see in the table below the figure, we have found transitions from 25 to 53 centimeters, or what is the same, from 2 to 13 years old. So there is like a very plastic event in the life of this wrasse. We have confirmed that the Labrus bergylta is a slow growth species. And of course, the Labrus bergylta is present in 2 patterns of coloration. The model one grows faster, what implies a bigger size at maturity and a much bigger size at sex change. So the next step would be to answer this question: does this different growth rate affect the reproductive potential? And we have not estimated fecundity yet, but we have a very preliminary result that is the GSI per month for both colorations, and the GSI for the plain coloration is much bigger, is more than twice than the model coloration. So, thank you.